What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. So I've been doing all this time on the R1. I think it's time to bring the R6 on the channel. I know I put a teaser out there for a short on Monster Fairings, and stay tuned for the my review video basically. So these have been on the bike for pretty much a year now, and overall I've been pretty happy with them. I mean, obviously there were some issues when I first placed the order. I will say this, the customer service was great. The follow-up was great. I didn't have to reach out to them at once to get an update on what was going on. Where the disappointing factor on it was when they showed up. So when they got here, what I ran into is both left side fairing pieces came broke. So like this one here, you can see I wanted to get them on the bike, so I was tired of waiting. They did get me the new replacement pieces, but it still took about 4 weeks. But this one had snapped off. I did some Gorilla Glue on it, which actually held up pretty good. Then I ran a piece of vinyl to cover the crack to get me by. You could barely notice it unless you were right up on it. So it was that piece there and this piece here. You can see the tip broke off. One thing I do want to talk about is overall the fairing pieces are pretty stout. I will say they are definitely a little thicker than the stock pieces. So here's the thickness of the Monster Fairings. And here is what the color of the bike originally was. It's a 2020, I bought it brand new in 21. 0 miles on it, got it from Tri-City Cycles up here in Loveland. Well, one day I was riding home and I thought I missed it, but there was a sidewall of a tire in the fast lane. I thought I cleared it, but apparently I must have kicked it up, because one day I was washing the bikes and I noticed something was off, and this lower fairing down by the exhaust, the whole back section for both pieces were gone. But that's kind of, not much of a difference in the thickness, but I will say I noticed that there's a little more give on the OE pieces. And we'll talk about some of the other issues and why I didn't use some of the parts. But overall, I had them do, let me back up. What was nice is you can actually do custom schemes. So like this was just their basic black and blue kit. So it was normally a gloss. And I asked them, I said, hey, can we do matte? And this actually gets a lot of compliments, the way this blue hits in the sun. But overall, I am very happy with how the paint turned out on it. I did pay extra because they give you the option for a thicker clear coat on it. So I went ahead and did that. I did buy the bulk kit, which for what they're asking for, I would not use it. It felt cheap. I was afraid if I tightened one down too tight that it would break. One area, though, that does have me a little concerned is right here where the vent tubes are for the gas tank. And I don't know if that is chain lube or if it's actually starting to cause the clear coat and paint to dissolve. No matter what I do, it won't come clean. So there is a permanent stain, which is fine. I mean, technically it did stain the stock piece that's on this side. But two things I wanted to talk about is the tank cover. That was a big disappointment. So the bike, obviously was the orange, it's the matte black. So I kept the tank matte black seat cowl, which actually, looks pretty good, especially with the matte front piece. One thing they do on these is if you ask for any decals, they will clear coat over those. So there is no removing them. So this is all under the clear. So you can feel the stickers, but you can't remove them. But the biggest disappointing piece was this one right here, the tank cover. No matter what I did, I tried shimming it. The gaps were atrocious. So I decided to leave that off. The other was their seat cowl. Now, not just the two pieces that I showed you that came broken. The seat cowl fits tight. So when you get it on the bike and bolted down, it actually develops a bump right where that bracket's at when you tighten it down. So you'll actually see a dip when the sun hits it. So I decided not to use that as well. Excuse me. For the most part, some of the parts the OE parts actually did work. So you have your upper trim panels here. I was able to use those with their fairing. The inside fender, the inside fairing panels, I don't know if I can get you in there. Those I had to use the OE. The only other issue I ran into is the factory clips that the screws go into to keep the plastics together. Those actually, your best bet when you get those is, since the bolts they use are shoulder headed, you want to drill those out, because trying to get those started, because they'll bottom up against and you're forcing them through. So I drilled them all out, make sure, and then once I did that, everything fit together on the sides and the bottom. I actually used the OE piece down there on the lower portion of the fairings, keep it all together. The little yellow spring clips all up in here, they fit. They did not fit for the front cowling. So I did have to get a little creative there and run a couple of little small strips of 3M double-sided tape here and here, which that's just to keep it from flapping. As you can tell, it's pretty stout. And it is still bolted up, so it's not gonna go anywhere. So would I do Monster Fairings again? Probably. Actually, there's a new kit out there that I have my eye on that I may do. But the waiting sucks. So if you're in a hurry, you know, you're gonna have to be patient. Don't expect these things to show up. Don't pay for the expedited freight, because it only guarantees like an extra week or so. Just be patient. Pray it doesn't show up broken. You know, these were not sent to me. I know there's some reviews out there where people were given these. I paid for these out of my own pocket. And just say I'm pretty pleased. But I give them a 10 out of a 10 no. I would probably give them a 7 out of 10, just because you do have to spend some time to get them to fit. I did have to make a hardware store run, because the OE pieces use little clips to hold them together. I had to run up and get these screws, just these little plastic screws, to hold their inner piece to their new fairing, because these could not be reused off of the OE. Sorry, she's dirty. Been run. This is their heat shield that they want to use on that lower portion. This stuff is garbage. You know, I just used it because it was there. If you can, I would try to get some OE pieces. I don't think they're that much. I actually bought some when that one blew up, because I had to buy new ones because I wanted them. Because you never know, now that the R6 is discontinued, if sooner or later you're going to be able to get these pieces. So found some on eBay. I actually bought some new ones to have as spares. But yeah, this stuff actually starts coming apart. So this was cheap. The windscreen, obviously, I would not use. But yeah, just their trim pieces. So if you're doing a full, like you wrecked your bike, you could probably get away with using this stuff and be okay. But if your bike is still good and you just want to do a color change or design change, use what you can of your OE stuff. Like I said, a lot of it fit, a lot of it didn't. Don't use this. Set it aside. Go from there. But yeah, I mean, I would definitely recommend this if, you know, if you did have an accident, you scratched up your fairings, you don't want to spay, dealer cost, you can't find them on eBay or whatnot used. This kit cost me, with everything, I think it was right around 800 bucks. Like I said, I did buy the bulk kit, which I didn't use. That was a waste of money. I don't recommend that. But yeah, that's what's going on. And I've been thinking about going back to the orange. Let me know if I should keep it the blue, if I should go back to the orange and black scheme for a little while. Let me know your thoughts.